back on Facebook.
Okay, so we'll see if that goes.
Facebook it kept. The typing. YouTube makes you redo it.
Oh, okay. Is that the one that does the...
Yeah. So I'm going to do some graphic stuff while you take that over.
Yes. Are you there? See if I can hear you now.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you now. We're having a little bit of technical difficulties we're working through. Kicked us off of our Facebook deal. We're back up on YouTube. We stayed on Twitch for some reason.
Because Twitch likes us.
Yes.
Oh, because YouTube went down and I was trying to refresh it and it didn't work.
Yeah, it should be back on. I don't know which one.
It's back on all three. We're on all three platforms.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's got two of them up there, and I don't know if this one's the one that's playing live or the one, because I'm checking on YouTube to see if that on that. But as you go through the deal, yeah, are we back up on Facebook yet?
Yes, you're back up on everything.
We're back up on everything? Okay, so we're for some reason, and maybe Facebook's censoring us now too on the deal. We Facebook and YouTube both dropped us right off the beginning on that. Oh, you're gonna do just go with the black background. Stephanie thinks because we had American flag in the background.
Yeah, I think it was because of. See, this isn't working either. There we go. Nope. There we go. Because of the flag, I think they didn't like us using it. You know how sometimes, but I don't know. We'll work on it.
There you go.
It's Roy's fault.
When is it not?
Exactly.
See?
Dwayne gets it. Dwayne gets it.
Of the deal on that. But go ahead. Well, I think we're back up on our video cast. What you got?
Oh no, I just called in to do that. Unless you want to discuss something, roll with it.
Oh, let me see if I can do an escape here on that and see what I was looking for. Oh yes, couple things, and I'm going to roll some video. First is the if you don't think, and Joe Biden said at the beginning of his administration that he was going to mandate masks nationally if he was elected president. Well, he came on the old blower today, and it came up this. So we're going to run just a short clip of the Joe Biden video coming up here. So let me get it on full screen. And where did it go? That.
I don't have. Do you want
well,
me to hang on? Because I can't see what you're looking at.
Yeah, go ahead. See if it.
Is to give something back to all of us, a normal life. Her goal is to get back to normal as fast as possible. And masks are critical in doing that. It won't be forever, but that's how we'll get our nation back up to speed economically. So we can go back to celebrating birthdays and holidays together. So we can attend sporting events together. So we can get back to the lives and connections we share.
So that was Joe Biden. He was basically saying, if you don't mask up, we are not going to have any sporting events, no schools, no anything. And we have to wear masks in order to get our economy back up and running on this whole deal. So here you go. That's what Joe Biden said today at his press briefing early this morning. And the rest of it is probably irrelevant to the whole deal of that. Well, he said he's going to, the guy that said I'm going to wrap chains around your heads, the segregationist that voted for locking up everybody with the crime bill in '94, said he's going to solve race relations in America and blah, 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 blah. That was the Joe Biden summation for today. What do you say?
I didn't get to hear it, but I'll go on your compilation of it. So this is nothing new. Obviously, Joe Biden is going to use this pandemic fraud scare to keep manipulating people into a lockdown, because locked down people are easier to control than free people. And, we can go on both sides of this argument. I mean, there are those of us that dispute the official findings of His Lord and Highness Dr. Fauci. And then there are those of us who might say, well, if it only protects 1% and I may come in contact with somebody that's, compromised, and therefore it's just better to do it. It should be your choice and not a government mandate. And that is my point. The government does not have a right to mandate what color underwear you wear. Why would it be able to tell you to wear a mask?
Joe Biden thinks that's what he has every right to, and we're probably going to put this to the test here in about 2 months or so of doing that. But and if we'll go back through the tapes and everything, but I specifically remember Pelosi and Chucky Schumer and Gavin Newsom, Gruesome Newsom, saying Trump had no authority to do anything regarding COVID. It was all left up to the states constitutionally. So where does Joe Biden, other than, and I've always said this, the only thing that really, if you want to read my reading of the Constitution, for the president to do this is declare martial law. So the only way I can see that Joe Biden, as president of the United States, could declare a national mask mandate is declare martial law.
Well, he would have to declare martial law due to an emergency pandemic response, right? That would be probably the most plausible way to do that. And how far are we from that step to monitoring, because he wants a social app on everybody's phone to do social monitoring and direct people, and you're going to get flash little signals, you're too close, you've been here too long, why are you spending this much time in the grocery store, how come you're going to the movie theater, you're not allowed to go here, it's we're going to deduct from your social credit score, we're going to ban you from Facebook, we're going to ban you from Twitter because you're not following the rules, you'll lose your access to whatever, fill in the blank, because we have deemed it. Now, we are listening to a less than stellar politician and a handful of multimedia moguls dictate to the American people what they can and cannot do. And unless the American people get off their behinds and start exercising their rights, they will soon find that they don't have those rights anymore.
I got something today, and the breaking news is Pfizer thinks they have a vaccine that's ready to go. They said it's 90% effective. They're asking for emergency orders from the FDA to bypass some of the onerous rules and regulations, which are most case ridiculous.
Well, no, wait a second. You mean the rules and regulations that prevent them from putting, let's say, aluminum and mercury in the vaccines? Those rules?
We're not going to debate whether vaccines are good or that, because Trump promised a vaccine before the end of the year, and it looks like it is. Two things. Fauci said, as I did, and I didn't have time to get the links, but this is as I recall it, and I bet you it's pretty darn close. He said, we will not open a year up until after the vaccine is fully distributed, or a vast majority of the United States has used it. So if you take that into account, it would probably take all of 2021 for that to happen, to get everybody vaccinated and all this stuff. So, and then you're taking a year after that, you can almost wipe out the way Fauci's going, and if he is elected president, I have no doubt he's going to keep Fauci's going to be back. He's going to be back up on top and even harder than he was under the Trump administration for a while. And so you're basically wiping out 2021 and 2022, according to what Fauci is saying right now under a Biden presidency.
Well, he's made that statement several times in the past that first it was a couple of weeks, then it was several months, then it was probably a year, and now, according to his Lord and Master, the Emperor Fauci, we won't be able to resume life for a couple of years. Well, once we get to the 2 years and the pandemic isn't erased, what then? Another 2 years, another 5 years? Pretty soon we just go into living on government assistance in our homes because we no longer allowed to leave the home because the social app will remove our access. We'll have to install things.
So
like
and we can expand on that in a minute, but I want to get to this. Judith, and I'm going to butcher this one, Petrosilli, she's a health official for the for New Jersey area. She was on 60 Minutes. And I'm going to flip it up on, give me a 4, thank you. I'm going to flip it up on the screen. Here it is, and this is the quote from the CBS website. The video wouldn't never stop, so I never could get it. But it's on 60 Minutes. You can go find it. We surveyed 2,000 healthcare individuals, physicians and nurses, and we know over 60% of physicians said they would get the vaccine. We know that about 40% of the nurses said they would line up to get the vaccine. David Martin was the host. That sounds awfully low. Petrosilli. Nurses, I guess, are skeptical. David Martin. What does that say about your general population? Petrosilli. There's a lot of vaccine hesitancy. Now, with doctors going 60%, which is a barely majority, nurses under that, so you could say it's a 50-50. Let's say nurses and doctors combined are a 50-50 split on the vaccine. Why would healthcare professionals, if the vaccines for this virus, and we've had Dr. Kelly Victory, who is pro-vaccine, but said no, in certain cases, like the mumps, tetanus shots and stuff, which I get a tetanus shot. I'm not 100% against vaccines. But I've never had a flu shot or any of these other things.
They scare me.
Why would 50% of healthcare professionals, which the top 2 are doctors and nurses, be not wanting to take a vaccine in this case? If this is the case, according to the rules of Fauci and Biden, we will never open up because half the country, half the healthcare professionals, and if this runs across the country, are not taking the vaccine.
Well, because they know probably a lot more about it than the average layperson that has no medical background. And that is that vaccines are largely compromised. Not all vaccines, but there have been studies that show that vaccines are directly related to the increase in autism. And you can debate the issue.
We've done that, and we can do that, and that's probably some valid points. But I want to get to this. This is what I see the showdown coming in a potential Biden, Harris, Fauci administration. Okay, you don't have to take the vaccine, but if your kids don't get a vaccine, you're not going to school.
Right.
If you
really?
If you don't get the vaccine, we are canceling your driver's license.
Yep. That's
if
where I was going
you don't
with
take
mine.
the vaccine, we are confiscating your property. If again, and I mean that's going from simple to extremes, but this is what I see. Yeah, okay, we cannot mandate. It's just like federal tax dollars. Okay, California, you don't want to play ball. You want to stand up to us? We'll just start withholding federal tax dollars for your highway programs, your schools, your federal assistance, your aid to dependent with families' children, and on and on and on and on and on. That's how the game is played. I see that is coming under Biden, Fauci, Harris administration. Because, I mean, I think Fauci is really probably going to be the de facto vice president in this thing when it all shakes out. Because Kamala's got about 2 cents worth of IQ, in my opinion. But
careful. I'm going to tell you, and I don't agree with this. I still maintain that we got to wait for Trump to do his magic.
Well, yeah, I'm saying a potential Trump or a potential administration that's coming.
Yes.
So
that
this
being
is
said, Kamala would be your next president.
Oh,
Joe's
yeah,
health
had you ever thought you'd be in a position where you'd be praying for the health of Joe Biden?
Yeah, that would be it. That would be it.
Wow.
Look, She is such a dominant figure. She will run over the top of Joe Biden. Joe Biden is nothing more than a mouthpiece for the Wizard of Oz, who's got his hand up his rear end making it work. Okay? So we know that Biden is devoid of any true intellect, and we also know the same thing about Harris. They were elected, if elected, are elected fraudulently. Certainly, their ideas are precisely what you have labeled out. They are big government, big control. You will do what the government states, or the punishment follows. And the punishment is loss of liberty, loss of freedom of movement, loss of ability to access several things, including your children's school, playgrounds, airports, sports arenas, just about grocery stores, whatever.
Yeah,
they
pretty much.
deem
Biden said that in the news conference. We only got a couple minutes left, so I want to touch on the whole election fraud, turning it over. Bottom line, in states that Joe Biden is leading, either is leading in the vote count right now, that could be within the realm of possibility to flip. Trump right now would have to flip for the 5 in that case of that to get to 270 electoral votes. What's the odds of that happening in your opinion?
I'm going to give him better than a 50-50. I'm going to say it's 70-30 simply because there's fraud involved. And we have evidence of fraud. If there were no evidence of fraud, I would say he doesn't stand a prayer's chance in hell. But the fact of the matter is, based on what we have already learned, that there has been vote tampering, that there's been miscalculating the votes. This is going to be another replay of 2000 with Bush and Gore, albeit more states involved than just Florida. However, I think at the end of the day, Trump proves his case. The Democrats start the crying all over again. And we'll hear from Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi how this is the worst day in history for the American public, and how all of this is just catastrophic, and the American people have been cheated out of their true president, on and on and on. And really, who really cares about their opinions? Look, they've tried to rip off an election. The American people know it doesn't pass the smell test. It is statistically highly improbable
30
that
seconds.
from where Trump was at the end of the election night to the following morning that Biden could have overcome that. Statistically low probability, very low. And that's what I'm basing it on.
Okay, thanks a lot for calling in. We'll definitely be on this. This is a continuing story that I'm sure we'll be able to that will keep going here for who knows how long. But we'll be back on it when we get some more time. But we're working some stuff. We're working some tech issues out right now too. But
It's not issues. We're playing.
Thanks for being on today.
We're figuring it out.
Dwayne.
And I feel bad. I'm leaving all my commenters alone. I'm sorry.
Yes, on the.
We'll start reading them out as soon as I get this up.
Of that. No, that we gotta. And again, I'm not as confident as Dwayne is that Trump could turn around. I think the odds are much longer, but we shall see. Trump's got every right to point it out. And as the last election, John Lewis, Hillary Clinton, Ted Lieu, all big political figures said at 2016 when Trump was elected, he is an illegitimate president. Now,
Trump said that?
No, those three. But it happened. So there are allegations, and there are some credible evidence to that. So we shall see what happens.
So really, my kids can't go back to school unless they get
You can almost bet on that. Which one's scouting?
Are you there?
I'm here now.
Oh.
What happened?
I have no idea.
It froze up totally on my end.
You know what? See, people on Facebook are saying that it froze again. I'm just gonna leave YouTube alone for a while.
We'll see that. Are we ready to go on KMET?
We got about 30 seconds.
30 seconds. Okay, so yeah, we're working through some technical difficulties and
It's not
stuff on
technical
that.
difficulties.
Calm
We're
down.
having fun.
Yes.
You
Well,
calm down.
I'm not. Do I look like I'm nervous? I'm not.
Do I look like I'm nervous?
I'm being truthful.
All right, guys, here we go.
And hear any show anytime you want.
IE Newswire Daily is on the air.
The following is a paid program. Claims expressed are those of the program producer and are not endorsed by this station. Opinions expressed do not necessarily.
There's that funky slide guitar music that comes on every Monday through Friday on the Mighty Bet. 1490 AM, broadcasting all over the Inland Empire, joining our video audience, which we got some new stuff coming on of that. As you notice, our background's a little different. We're experimenting, having a few little glitches on that, but we're working them out on that. Well, is that a better word?
It's not glitches.
Oh, that no, it looks
YouTube
good.
doesn't like us.
Well, we'll figure that
See,
out.
but you know what I think it is? It's because they want you to buy that backdrop. They don't want you to use it.
Could be.
Maybe.
As joining our video audience on Twitch, Facebook, and sometimes
On YouTube. Sometimes. On YouTube. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button and share us all over your world.
if you're doing that. Let us know if you like we're working on it. If you like the new background on that, and I
I just
hope
need something cute.
our video is coming out better on that. We talked about
Alright.
some of the stuff going on.
This one, not that one.
Of that. Oh, okay. Obviously, Joe Biden came on the blower this morning with a press conference. Basically said mask mandate. He didn't exactly say it, but he said during the campaign he was going to make a national mask mandate. Masks are going, in my opinion, are going to be mandated nationwide, and as we did earlier in the half hour, the only way I see under the Constitution you can do that is declare martial law. They're going to do this pandemic with Fauci coming on with some of the stuff he was saying today, that once we get a vaccine, it's going to take a year after it is fully distributed before we open up the country. So if it takes them a year to get even if the new Pfizer one gets approved by the first of the year, and it takes them a year, which it would probably do, to distribute it and fully vaccinate the United States, or the vast majority of the United States citizens of that, then you're talking till the end of 2022, by the time you take the full year after that, according to what Fauci was saying today, before things are opening up. Years of this under Joe Biden. I hope all you Biden supporters were listening today. And I hope all you Biden supporters are going to be Joe Biden locks down this country even harder, because Governor Hairgel, Gruesome Newsom, was basically saying, I'm disappointed in people not Halloween and that, talking to you like you're a 5-year-old and he's your dad, and you just threw mud on the car and, you're giving you a lecture on how you should not be doing that. So this is what you got to look forward to on coming in a potential Biden administration. The next event that will come up is when all the states got to certify the elections, which they've got to do within the next 30 or so days. Then on December 14th, the electors for the Electoral College will meet and cast their votes. At that time, if Trump does not concede, December 14th is as quick as Joe Biden can officially become president-elect. The news media cannot determine a president-elect. you have to have a majority of the votes in the Electoral College, or everyone conceding in the race that could potentially win to officially become president-elect. So you notice how he is. I don't know that he's using the term yet, and if he is, it would technically be incorrect if he would use the president-elect because of that. We have the allegations of voter fraud, the Bedford Law, which says it is basically statistically impossible that what happened on November 3rd and 4th into the late night into November 3rd, into the wee hours till 6 o'clock in the morning, for Trump to be up almost a million votes, over a million votes
Was
in
he really?
4 states, and they all flipped within a 6-hour period. Or, like the anomaly when all of a sudden, I think it was in Wisconsin, 138,000 votes just popped up on Biden and 0 for Trump. And they said, well, we don't know. They said, oh, that was a glitch. Somebody put a 0, didn't put a 0. Well, let's give them that. Let's say it was 13,000 votes. How could they find 13,000 votes for Joe Biden and 0 for Trump?
Right.
In any amount of 10,000 or 13,000 votes across this country, when it's a 52 or 51, 51 and a half, 47.5% race. A very close election, only decided by 3 points. There is no statistical way you could hit one spot that would have 13,800 or 138,000 to nothing Joe Biden getting them all and Trump getting 0, along with all the other stuff. So we shall see how the process plays out on this. So we'll see. We'll see how this all works out on the deal. So hopefully we're gonna have Cliff Cummings on to get his thoughts on all the events that happened on this, since we
I love the fade. It's so creepy.
that we had on that. What?
No, never mind.
Oh, okay. I didn't catch that one, but we'll see how this all transpires out. I'm very curious to see how Cliff's going to read this election, as I have not talked to him on the much on that since we've
Cliff,
had that.
you ready to go on?
So we'll find out what's
Perfect.
going
Yeah,
on
I'll got you there.
on the deal and the background of that, and so we shall see if we have him on the line. As we have said, he's the owner of Toyota of San Bernardino, Subaru San Bernardino, I-10 Toyota, and newly acquired Nissan of San Bernardino. Cliff Cummings, welcome to IE Newswire with Steph and Roy.
Thank you. How are you all doing tonight?
Pretty good. I don't know if you've checked out our new graphics, but we're playing with a green screen, and we've got, I think, all of your, we just kind of played with it and put all of them up there, Toyota San Bernardino, on the logos and stuff. If you get time when you get a look at it, just curious what you think of that.
Yeah, look, today has been one of those days that you want to get to the end of and say, forget about it. Let's try tomorrow.
Yeah, just take a gander at it. And see, we're playing with the graphics on that, so we're experimenting so we can expand our video cast to this and make it more visually appealing. Let's say it that way.
Good.
But on top of that, so we haven't talked since we talked just before the election. Now that it's been 6 days, what's your thoughts?
I think it's going to take another 24 days. This in 2010, the Bush election with Gore stretched on for 3 weeks and change.
Right.
It is entirely possible this will happen. There is an extraordinary likelihood it'll end up in the Supreme Court for adjudication, and either the fraud is so rampant that they'll have a new election in places or in entirety, or the Supreme Court will judge it, or it'll get thrown out. So there are so many balls in the air right now that everybody needs to take a breath and wait. The job is being done. The fraudulent votes are being found. DOJ is out there. There is just, it is not in any way at all surprising to me. Let me say that. This was bound to happen. The question that we all need to look at is how prepared were the Trump people for this? And we will know that in the next 2 or 3 weeks, because there was no doubt this was going to happen. And if they had won fair and square, as I put out in a thing the other day, all right, lost, go back to work, let's figure it out and win the next one. But if there's fraud involved, then all the gloves are off, and it's a whole new ballgame.
And I said, in the months up to this election, I said they had this loaded in key areas: Milwaukee, Detroit, Atlanta, Philadelphia. And again, I think there's the Bedford's Law, which has been used in court cases to overturn elections. It is almost statistically impossible in the amount, and as I brought out before, in 6 hours, Trump being up for over 1 million votes in those 4 states, and all of a sudden, Biden's leading in all of them.
Yeah, and again, it's awful. Let me give you a side story here. The general news media falls for this stuff all the time, even Fox News. There has been an exit from various Facebook, for instance, and gone to Parler. Well, I have a Parler account, so I went in to check what was going on. It is so busy, it's exploding, and you can't get in.
Yes.
So the exodus from Facebook and others, Twitter, to Parler has got the damn site just about shut down, and that's a good thing. I mean, that's a really good thing. So we'll wait to see what happens over the next day or two with it. But if what I'm thinking is happening, it's very exciting for Parler, and it's great for conservatives. The next thing is I'm going to wait until probably tomorrow afternoon. There are some results that'll be coming in from other spot checks, other counties in the 5 states, and we'll see where that goes. There's just so much out there that it's not done, and people who think it's done, that's fine. They may be wrong, and that's not fine.
It is, and just to reiterate on the Parler, over 2 million joined Parler this weekend, and if you want to get me on Parler, it's at Roy Bleckert on that, and we will soon have an IE Newswire page up on the Parler. They're just, they're so chaotic right now, it's just hard to get that stuff through, but as soon as they settle down a bit, we'll be up and running on Parler too, because that, as you said, that place just exploded this weekend.
Yeah, and rightfully so. I mean, I've been on it for since they opened, but you see some posts that'll get 1,500, maybe 2,000 hits. 6 is not uncommon, as in 6.
Right.
It's going to be real interesting to see where this goes next. But again, while that's just a subset of this election, it does make one wonder. As my son said to me, he said, "Why bother voting? They've already decided who's won." And I said, "Because, pal, at the end of the day, we are a constitutional democracy, and we'll win. It will prove itself, and sometimes it takes time, and it did with Bush, and this is insane." And by the way, I did a bunch of reading on your example of why. Number one, only shows up extra, or should show up 33% of the time. You ought to bring that up when I get off about it is a tough read. You have to be relatively a mathematical genius to get to the bottom of it all.
Yes.
But again, it is statistically virtually impossible to do 2 or 3 things. The only one, to have this result. 2, the only place where you can have more people vote than the population is in Chicago, and they've got dibs on that. You can't. I mean, I remember cemeteries waiting to vote.
Yes.
And so this is completely unacceptable. 102,000 unsigned ballots coming in at once. The shut off of the 5 states and the 100% reversal. Again, the felt tipped versus ballpoint votes, and people are coming out one after the other, not only from the Republican voting side, but from the poll people who love the country and say, look, I didn't vote for the guy, but I saw this happen. And those are my heroes, the ones who are working in the polls saying, look, I watched this. I destroyed X number. I watched this get done.
Right.
And you can bet that there's going to be a whole bunch of congressional hearings about this. The other thing I want to quick throw out, I just maxed out with Purdue in Georgia today. We've got to get him as much funding as possible. We got to win that seat.
I don't doubt that $1 billion is going to be spent on those two by the Democrats on this that. But I wanted to get to this just to bring up the what your son brought out about the voting. I was listening to Dr. John Eastman. He's a constitutional law professor for that at Chapman University in Orange County, California, and he said, basically, we have been letting this voter fraud thing go to so long in this country, and now you're seeing the fruition of it, that if we don't stop it, what your son is saying is going to be right. It's going to be we're going to turn into a banana republican. You're going to get elected by a Hugo Chavez. Biden will get elected, or whomever, Kamala Harris, by a Hugo Chavez 147%.
When we were in Kazakhstan, when my son, speaking of my son, was playing for the U.S., he played on the hockey team for the U.S. in Kazakhstan at the World Collegiate Games, University Games. And we went from the hotel to the arena, and there were guys with Uzis and AKs at every street corner because the president was coming.
Right.
But the president had won that election every year with 94 to 97% of the vote. They all loved him. Why would they need guys with
Uzis
and AKs guarding the route? So that's the slippery slope, and I think we need to make sure that the U.S. does not start sliding down that slippery slope. And this is where we need to draw the line and stop it. Now, look, if it was fair and square, it's fair and square. All the math right now, all the programs, every bit of analysis, I think the last thing I saw in Wisconsin is an 82.5 or 8% turnout. Never happened before. It's fake. 102,000 unsigned ballots showing up all at once after the break. Fake. You've just got to go down into the rabbit hole. You've got to pull the rabbits out. And then you got to find out what's real. And I think Trump's doing a great job of holding on against a lot of pressure from people like Fox News, which people are leaving in droves for Parler and other places. OAN is not bad. If you have DirecTV, it's channel 347. Not bad. Sort of a fledgling network, but they're going to have a whole lot of advertisers and a whole lot of viewers growing last week and this week.
That's why we're expanding the video part of this, because I think there's an opportunity right now to reach a lot of people that are just flat fed up with the whole dominant media thing. Right. And I think this is where I think we are turning the Parler example of 2 million people joining in over the weekend. I think there's an opportunity in here to do this, because I think you're exactly right. If we don't stop this now, and I mean, that's 82% in Wisconsin. If you add in the 500,000 people that registered in the last month in Wisconsin, because a month ago you would be, if you took the registration it was a month ago in Wisconsin, you would be over 100% of the vote right now in Wisconsin.
It's interesting because there are other states where you had to be a resident of the state for a certain period of time, let's say 30 days, 6 weeks. 6 weeks. And there were a boatload of votes that came in of people who just became citizens of that state. They need to be tossed, and they need to find them. The other thing that's really disconcerting to me is the Supreme Court ruled that they had to stop counting in Pennsylvania and segregate the votes. The guys didn't do it, okay? They took a second ruling from the court to get them to hopefully stop. And that is when election officials in a state thumb their nose at the Supreme Court of the United States, they're faking it. It's a given that they're faking it.
It is, and I think, maybe we had to, again, I'm saying 2020 overall with the COVID and this election, I'm just thinking, whatever you believe in, Mother Nature, God, or whatever, the forces out there are giving us a wake-up call and saying, hey, if you don't fix this stuff now, you're headed down the, you're heading down the wrong path really, really fast. Pay attention.
Exactly.
Yeah, and that's what we're supposed to be good at, right? Aren't we supposed to be one of those countries that's resilient?
Yes.
You get through World War I, you get through World War II, you abolish slavery, you go back, women's rights, civil rights, all the way through. There have been abuses before in a lot of different places, and we have done our best and continue to do our best to try to cure those ills. Well, now you have voter abuse and people trying potentially to steal an election. We have to cure that too.
Absolutely on that. I know your time is short. Thanks for being on,
Thanks,
Cliff.
Cliff.
And we'll get to this story ain't over. I'm sure we'll have you on and we'll have plenty to talk about here in the near future.
Definitely.
Great. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
You got
Bye.
it.
Have a good one.
Take care.
That was
Bye-bye.
That was Cliff Cummings, owner of Toyota San Bernardino, I-10 Toyota in Indio, San Bernardino Subaru, and the newly acquired Nissan of San Bernardino. I get that out. Yeah, throw that new one on me. You got to throw a curve on Roy. see if we can stump the host. See if we can tie his tongue on that, which you successfully did. No, it looks good. I'd like to comment on the graphics that we're doing
Please don't.
no, I mean,
if
we're trying that, and I'm really serious about that. And I mentioned it while Cliff was on, and that's kind of my idea behind this and why we're trying to step up the graphics into that because of what happened with Parler and stuff. And a lot of people are finally, I've been saying this for a long time, conservatives, center right have been, Fox News this, Fox News that, and I think they're fine. I've been saying dominant media, and I've been including Fox News in that. And I think a lot of people are finally now seeing the light that it is infiltrated all across, and even a lot of the guys they were cheerleading are not necessarily were on their side or maybe complicit in that. Look at even Brett Baer, the anchor of Fox News, was saying, even our polls were way off. We had Biden winning Wisconsin by 17 points. He's winning it by less than 1%. I mean, how could your poll being off that far is almost statistically impossible on the deal on that. So we're going to see how this works out. And Trump is, as they said, as Al Gore was into the year 2000. As of now, of all that, you're on that, and you go for what? Donald Trump is perfectly within his right to contest the election. It's close enough, and we shall see where this road goes.
A caller called in and wanted to know if Fox is now owned by Disney. He said that he had heard it online, but he's not sure.
I'm not sure of that too, but I think they recently they purchased a stake in it from the Murdochs. But the Murdochs have been big backers of the Clintons and the Democrat Party, even though they have been poised themselves as the alternative to PMSNBC and CNN and the rest of them, and ABC News and all this other that have coordinated that. Where do you see the stories of investigators saying no fraud has been found, no evidence of this? Well, if you research that, and we'll, as we go through the week, we'll be bringing out more of that of where the problems are, and hopefully the Trump administration as that. As we, as Cliff said, we're cooling our jets on this thing and seeing what comes out. But there seems to be, again, tell us how you flipped over 1 million votes in 6 hours in 4 key states. 3 of the 4 states that Trump won in that, albeit close, but how you flipped 3 of the 4 to 4 of the 4 right now going to Joe Biden. And in a 6-hour period, Trump had a 1 million vote lead in those 4 areas. And I will leave you with this. Robert Calley, who's the head of Trafalgar poll, which has been pretty close on this, had come out with a poll and said Trump's leading by, about a week before the election, Trump's leading by 1 point over Joe Biden in Pennsylvania. And they said he will probably win in an honest election. But this is my recollection, and maybe we'll see if we can get Robert Calley from Trafalgar on. He said, but Trump has to win Pennsylvania by 3 points to overcome the fraud that's going to come in Philly. And that prediction looks like it's, may come out to fruition of that going forward. So all of the stuff that's going on, we'll be bringing it to you. And again, unless Trump concedes, Joe Biden will not be president-elect at the earliest until the electors meet on December 14th on the deal of that. So we will cover it all. And
isn't he supposed to be suing or something?
Trump is, yes. There's filing lawsuits in many of these states.
Did you mention that throughout the show?
I
was listening.
Of the deal on that. Yeah, he's they've been filing lawsuits since I think Thursday or Friday up until today, and they said there's many more to come on the horizon. So we shall see how this peels out. It's been a fun show. Thanks for
that went by quick.
Yes, thanks for getting
way
up
too fast.
You should see how Stephanie's been working all this whole hour putting things up, trying to get this going, because as soon as you get on the show, everything goes like blip off on the deal, and now you have to put everything back together. So that's why she wasn't commenting, or that it wasn't because she was ignoring you. It's because she was working over here trying to put this together. But it'll get better. We'll make it better.
And thanks for all your guys' opinions. I appreciate it.
You've got that. And until tomorrow, we're gone.
We're gone.